Hello and welcome to the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast. It is October 10th, 2024. This is episode 288. Stand-up comedian, actor, and improviser and dreamer, Paul Green, sharing my insights, my journey as I pursue my dreams to anybody out there who might have a dream of their own and maybe wants to listen to the story of someone who's out there banging his head against a wall, trying to pursue his own dreams. I shouldn't say banging my head against a wall. Oh, look at that. Look at me already checking my language patterns, everybody. So, it has been a bit of a down week for me, which has been much needed. And when I say down week, I just mean that I have been home, I have been not touring, and I haven't had a lot of shows this week. I've still been doing quite a bit of work, but it's been a week of a tremendous amount of administrative catch-up, if you will. And I have spent so many hours in the last, 5 or 6 days just doing all kinds of technical administrative stuff. Updating websites, updating CRM systems, updating automations, updating social media challenges, social media channels, creating ad content, updating Facebook ads, creating automations, emailing technical stuff to bookers and theater runners, and I mean, it has just been a tremendous amount of administrative minutia for my own comedy brand and also for the Midlife Crisis comedy brand. Just really wanting to get a bunch of foundational administrative stuff in place so that as we start to grow, that those elements are in place. Just as simple as things like we had like 4 different social media names, like our TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook all had like slightly different variations of our Midlife Crisis comedy name. Like some were Midlife Crisis Podcast, some were Midlife Crisis Comedy Podcast, some were Midlife Crisis Show or Midlife Crisis Comedy Show. And, that's just confusing. And so I went and just figured out what would it take to get our TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram all to have the exact same handle, Midlife Crisis Comedy Show. And now all 4 of our channels have that as their handle, which will just make it so much easier when trying to advertise. Because there's just no way when, we're at a live show and we're like, hey, everybody, go follow us on social media. Follow us on Instagram at Midlife Crisis Podcast. Follow us on TikTok at Midlife Crisis Comedy Show. Find our YouTube at Midlife Crisis Podcast, and our it's just like, no. So now we are the Midlife Crisis Comedy Show. We have a brand new Instagram account, a brand new YouTube account. Fortunately, our TikTok and Facebook are not new. They had the correct branded name. But for our TikTok and YouTube channel, we're pretty much starting over, which is another thing that I did is I scheduled out about a month and a half of social media posts on our new Instagram and our new YouTube channel so that those new channels will be getting consistent content, and then we can start to grow those channels. And along with that, I had to update our email address. I updated our website. Our website URL used to be midlifecrisispodcast.com. Now it is midlifecrisiscomedyshow.com. And had to get our website switched over. Our email address used to be let's have a midlife crisis at gmail.com. And then it was crisis@midlifecrisispodcast.com. And now we officially have info@midlifecrisiscomedyshow.com. And then I had to get that synced in with our CRM and update email authentication records and update. There was just so much of that stuff. And then on top of that, we've got 2 shows coming up. And so, again, I've been doing a ton of video editing. We just added another show in November down in Yuma. Well, we think we're going to add it in Yuma on November 21st. And I've been working with Yuma to... There's just these little things that come up. And oh man, should I even tell this story? I'll tell a version of it. So one of the challenges that we're running into as we are starting to produce the Midlife Crisis Comedy Show in different venues is not every venue will let us use our own ticketing link. So some of them have like a proprietary ticketing link that is required to use. Well, the problem with that is when we run advertising, say on Facebook ads, we need to track who is actually purchasing tickets. And the only way to do that is if you can place your Facebook tracking pixel on the website that is selling the tickets. Well, that becomes a problem if we don't own the website. And one of the challenges with this theater down in Yuma is the person who we were working with said that she is not able to place a tracking pixel for us. And why am I bringing this story up? I feel like I need to preface this story first. So put a pin in that. And let me preface this a little bit more. So if you've been following the podcast, or if this is your first time, I have been reading the self-help books the last couple of months, and most recently books about mindset and putting yourself in certain mindsets that will influence results. And it's been a really good reminder for me because I think that I have not had a great mindset, or it needs some improvement. And as I'm really thinking about the power of mindset, it really does come down to the actions that we are willing to take or not willing to take when in a certain mindset. And the actions that we take ultimately are going to influence our outcomes. And I don't really think this is as hippity-dippity, woo-woo, spiritual, manifestation, all of that stuff. I actually think it's really quite practical. I mean, it's pretty much just Newtonian physics. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Now, I'm not discarding that perhaps there is a metaphysical, spiritual, some sort of God being who is also influencing and has something to do with certain outcomes. I'm grappling with that, and I think everybody does, regardless of where you land on any sort of religious, spiritual, or pragmatic spectrum. That's not to say that being spiritual or religious is not pragmatic. But the more that I'm reading these books about mindset and analyzing my own mindset and starting to look for examples of mindset both in the world and in my own life and with the mindset of other individuals who have maybe achieved certain levels of success and what was the mindset that led to that success. I really am starting to be a lot more conscious of how I am thinking and showing up and pursuing this dream. So what does this have to do with the Facebook Pixel and the Yuma Theater Performing Arts Center? So here we are. We want to book a show down at this theater, and we had already booked a show there a couple weeks ago, and it actually went really well. We had a good turnout, and so we want to go back. Now, part of this equation is we have brought on a new advertising guy who's been doing a good job for us and really helping us dive into our data and our ad campaigns, and is helping us to be very meticulous in our campaigns, the ads that we're putting out there, how we are crafting the campaigns, how we are advertising, the demographics, the audiences we're going after. He's very much in the weeds and all that, which I'm very grateful for, because I feel that is what we need. And when I had mentioned to him, hey, we're looking at booking another show in Yuma, I said, just so you know, we are not able to get our Facebook tracking pixel on their website, because that's what they told us. And so when we create our ad campaigns, that's just something to be aware of that. And he messaged back and said, oh, that's pretty bad, because being able to track who purchases tickets and what ads they came from and what their demographic is incredibly significant information for us for optimizing ads and scaling ads to be most effective. And when he said that, I just thought, you want to know what? Why can't we get a Facebook pixel on this website? I'm like, there has to be a way. And what I did was I emailed our contact over there, and I emailed her in a way influenced by my mindset that very much made it clear that we need to figure this out. This isn't like oh, hey, can we do this? If not, no big deal, which was probably my mindset previously when addressing this conversation. And the reason it was probably that way was because I had a weaker mindset. I had a mindset of, I don't want to ruffle any feathers. I don't want to inconvenience anybody. I don't want to upset anybody. Which is a derivative of another character flaw of mine, of which there are many, which is a bit of a people pleaser. I don't want to upset anybody. I don't want to have any conflict, which there are pros and cons to that. But one of the negative parts of that is sometimes I shy away from conversations that need to be had, and that if they were had, they would actually lead to, or potentially lead to, better outcomes. And here I'm in this situation to where we have this business contact who's great, who I met when we were down in Yuma, and I'm a little afraid to approach a conversation that might potentially, maybe cause some frustration or some inconvenience, or, it's really this fear-based narrative of like, oh no, if I actually come across somewhat assertive and actually say, no, we need to figure this out, that might make them not want to work with us, or maybe they'll, cancel or whatever. It's this propensity to catastrophize any sort of communication that I perceive as any degree of assertiveness or causing somebody some inconvenience or, being persistent when, she had already said no initially. But today I had a different mindset and I just went, no, we really need to get a pixel on that website. And I know she told us what company that they use to drive their ticket sales. And I Googled it. And I'm like, oh, this website, this ticketing platform allows for Facebook pixels. I see it right on their website. So I'm going, so this isn't necessarily a matter of this not being a possibility. This is a matter of, something else is going on. And what I kind of assumed was it was something that she didn't either have the direct access to do, and so that it was just something that wasn't a common thing for this theater to do for their clients. And so I'm asking for something that maybe previous clients didn't ask for, or if they did ask for it, it was just sort of the same response. And so I just wrote her back and I just said, hey, I looked at the website. This ticketing software definitely has the functionality to add a pixel. Is there somebody in your technology team that I can talk to? I would be happy to help them out, like whatever it is. She emailed back and just said, well, it's not something that we have the capacity to do, so you would need to call the ticketing company. I was like, great. So guess what I did? Called the ticketing company. Got a voicemail. I left a voicemail. They called me back like 10 minutes later and said, oh yeah, this is really easy to do. You just got to send an email to this address and blah, 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 blah. And boom, just like that, it's like we now have a pathway forward to get this tracking pixel on this website, which is only going to help our advertising. It's going to help us be more successful. It's going to help the theater be more successful. And man, it seems like such a small thing, but all of that happened because of a slight adjustment of mindset, of me going, this needs to get done. We need this to be done. The first couple of ways that we tried to get it done weren't successful, but I know it can be done. There's just no way that this is not a possibility for us to just get a tracking pixel, which is like marketing and advertising 101, which just means I need to knock on this door a couple different ways until it finally opens. And then it finally opened. And man, I shudder to think of how many things in my life I knocked once, it didn't open, and then I just gave up because of a poor mindset. And even thinking about that, probably not a good mindset, because I should be looking forward to the future with ambition. But, it is always, to me, effective and useful to, look at where I've messed up in the past, look at where I've grown, look at how I've improved, and to continue to apply those learnings into the future. So that is just the type one example of the types of activities I've been engaged in to help this dream be successful, to grow the Midlife Crisis comedy brand, to be able to increase our capacity to sell tickets, to sell out bigger venues, to be successful, and to do all of that while doing a show that I love, performing with people that I love, working with other team members who come aboard to help us out. And it's been a tremendous blessing. So mindset, everybody, mindset. And I have been so much more cognizant of my mindset, how I have been thinking, how I have been processing, and looking for opportunities to challenge the elements of my thinking that are leading to less desirable outcomes, and looking at the elements of my mindset that led to positive outcomes, and looking at ways to enhance, increase, and grow in those areas. And that is where I'm at in this dream of mine, my friends. So I think I'll call it there. I am on a mission to record 78 days in a row of the Paul Green Comedy Podcast to finish out my 365 days goal, which if you follow the podcast, you know that I'm about 26 days. I've missed 26 days to my count out of the 365, which is still an A. I think that's 92%, if I remember right. Not an A+, but it's still an A. But yeah, I'm going to stick with this goal, finishing out 78 straight days. This is my third straight day. Feeling pretty good about that. I'm feeling rejuvenized. I think that's a word. And excited, ambitious for the future. Looking forward to what sort of miraculous and magical experiences await for me as I adapt The Magic Mindset, which is the book I'm currently reading, The Magic Mindset. All right, everybody, that's going to be all for today. So I love you all so much. I hope your dreams are coming true. If they are not, I challenge you to take a look at your mindset, how you're processing the world and the events that are occurring to you, and seeing if there's an opportunity to adjust those mindsets to something that potentially will afford you a greater outcome. All right, everybody, that's all for today. It is October 10th. 10/10/24. This is episode 288 of the Paul Green Comedy Podcast. I love you all so much, and I will talk to you tomorrow.